Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Heart Next Door podcast. If you're here, you're home. This is a safe space where we talk about all things related to maternal health, family wellness, and really just helping one another thrive in this thing that we call life. And today we have an extraordinary guest. I am so honored and thrilled to welcome her. Welcome, Vanessa Pereira. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here today.
Of course, it's such an honor to have you. So, for all of you who do not know, Vanessa Pereira is an award winning self leadership expert and core energy coach on a mission to disrupt traditional leadership by awakening emerging leaders to their power within. She is recognized with the Bold and Unstoppable Award in 2025 for her transformative work empowering professionals to fearlessly embrace who they are underneath the surface. With 18 years of navigating the corporate environment and overcoming personal life challenges, Vanessa leads her community across the globe to redefine success and lead with inner confidence, decisiveness, and self trust. Featured in Authority Magazine, U.S. National Times, and multiple podcast shows for her work in identity transformation, she blends science, faith, and deep inner work to ignite the spark in others to elevate their journey of self expansion in all areas of life. Through her coaching, Vanessa guides high performers to detangle from the overperforming, proving, people pleasing, perfecting loop that keeps them in repeated cycles of dissatisfaction. Her work is focused on shifting at the identity level from autopilot, doing, chasing, to intentional being and alignment, which calls an elevated success, impact, and joy. Vanessa is in the business of awakening the mind, body, and soul so her clients can live in the wholeness of their fullest expression of self without shame, self judgment, or guilt. Wow. I just have to stop for a second and take all of that in. Wow, what an incredible bio. And also, even just from, meeting you once before this, I also feel like that doesn't even encapsulate like your energy and like the depth of like who you are and the radiance that you bring to life and everyone that you interact with. So I'm so excited and honored to dive in today and give everyone the chance to know you better. And I'd just love to start with you and like your story. We know that your work centers on awakening people to their power within, but can you tell everyone about your personal journey and what led you to this work?
Mhm. Yes. So my journey really starts 9 years ago when my dad passed away in front of me. So I would say that that would be the conscious journey started at that point 9 years ago. But my true journey started, at the like way before I was even born. So I want to make that statement because I think we think that things are so linear and so like, oh, you're born and then you go to school and then you go get a job and then, oh, here we are. And now, oh, Vanessa had some changes and now, no, it's not that linear and it's not that clear cut. And when I say that before I was born is, and I know your audience is, mothers and it's really important. I'm not a mother myself. However, I have, through this process of my 9 years of conscious awakening and self-discovery, I've gone back
Yeah.
and really did that work with my own, and I learned about the journey of how I was conceived and the state of what my mother was in when I was conceived, which explains a lot of some of the wounds that I carried that I needed to release. So I would just share, just as a first bit to your audience that um, it goes far beyond you the self. Like you're also carrying with you the generations that come before you, and I fully understand that and I live that like now. I did I didn't know then. And so my journey started with my dad passing away in front of me. He died from cancer, and it all happened quite quickly. It was a 2 year cancer battle, and we were preparing for his death. And it just so happened that I was the person to be with him that moment. And I believe that that was very much God's divine orchestration to put me, the only person in my family, in that moment, to witness that, because to me, that was my awakening, my first big spiritual awakening. Because after that day, I just started asking, what's my purpose in life? I was writing my dad's eulogy for his funeral, and I noticed that everything I was writing had nothing to do with his jobs. It had nothing to do with, my father was very humble, but extremely generous man. Even though he was not the breadwinner, and he taught me so much after his death. I did not have a relation. I did not have a good father-daughter relation. I don't mean good. Like, I mean, it wasn't all. I wasn't awake back then. So I really started to build a relationship with my father after his death, and it was through this. It was like, what is my purpose? I don't think I can do this corporate, forever. But I also don't know what else I can do, because my path was corporate. And so anyway, I went down the path, what I call a deer in the headlights, which is basically, when you literally picture a deer, and when they look at headlights, they're like, oh my God, like, what is happening? I can't see anything. And then they just move, and then they just go and they figure out their way. And that's what I was doing for a good chunk. I want to say the next 3 to 5 years after my dad passed. I was just, I was traveling, I was exploring myself, I was trying new things. I did therapy to deal with the grief. And then that served its purpose. And then I was like, no, I need more than this. Like, this is, there's the talking about the grief was great. But then I needed more, that like my soul was calling for more. And then I jumped around so many jobs. I went into my sixth company, trying to find my fit, find where I belong, find where the people will get me. I was on this incessant need for others to love me, for others to give to me, because I'm a giver. So I give a lot, but I did not, quote unquote, receive a lot. So I was really seeking that, and I was craving it so much that I would, anybody would give me something, from the outside, I would latch on to that, and I would hold on to that, and I would make that mean, oh, okay, yeah, maybe, maybe now I'm worth something, because somebody said, because my boss gave me a good review, so I must be a good performer. And I think we're all realizing now, I was 36 at the time, that I started to really just go into this depression of like, nothing I'm doing is enough. Like, nothing I'm doing is enough. And this was happening in the dating sense, in the work sense, in my home life, with my family. I was always giving to my friends, but I never felt that same kind of, like, they could be doing it, but I didn't feel it. Like, I really didn't feel it. And then I stumbled upon, not stumbled, like, God was definitely leading me. And I heard a whisper, like, get a coach. And I didn't know what a coach was. I only knew, like, fitness coaches. And I didn't know what a life coach was. And like, I didn't know what they actually did. So I followed the nudge. And it was so quick, because God's work is very quick when you listen to the nudges. And I got my coach, and the work we did together was so profound. And within the first, like, when you make such a bold decision for yourself and you don't even know where it's going to lead you, that is your signal to God, to the universe, to the higher power, that you are surrendering, and but also at the same time taking action. something that you don't even know where it's going to lead you. And that's really what I was doing. I had no idea where I was going, and where, like, there's no, I didn't even have any outcomes. I just wanted to get out of this shitty feeling that I was
Yeah.
feeling. It's very empty on the inside, but I had everything on the outside, but very empty on the inside. And how do you describe that? Like, how do you describe, oh, I don't want to feel empty? Like, you can't. The mind cannot conceptualize what that really feels. So I just went with it. And the work we did together was a lot about releasing my shame, releasing my judgment. So that's why, it's in my bio, because I have done this work myself. So everything I do now with the people who come into my space, they're both men and they're women. And so it doesn't even matter your gender, but all of us are carrying this level of, you know, resentment for the things that we were obligated to do. And now we have resentment for that. We have so much shame. We judge ourselves so much. And when you actually analyze it, you don't even realize how much you're judging yourself, because we're just on autopilot and we're going around, walking around. But we don't, if you actually sit and, write down all these things, you'll realize how much you are actually holding so much shame to yourself. And that's what makes us feel heavy. That's what makes us feel so empty, because all we're doing is just, too much of the criticizing and the guilt.
Yeah.
And then the more we do that to ourselves, the more we receive it from the outside. So anyway, I turned all that around, of course, with the support of my coach really leading me. The important thing is that coaching is not supposed to tell you what to do, because you don't need to know what to do. You already know what to do. It's about leading you to listen to yourself. You're constantly listening to other people, but you're not listening to yourself. And that's what brings in all this heaviness. And so, yeah, I turned my life around, and I, f- I feel strongly in the power of this, because I embody it every day. It is a lived experience. And so I can speak with full conviction that, this work works, and it is so powerful. And so that's what brings me here today. And in a nutshell, that's the story.
Yeah, wow. And what a beautiful, transformative journey that's been. And I think, even though you said, you're not a mother, I think one thing that I've realized, even building a business, I'm sure you can relate to this. I just realized that we all give birth to something, We all are here to create something in some form. You have created something from the trauma that you experienced from going back to, healing the parts of yourself, like studying your conception. I think that's something we should all do, like considering what state our mom was in. And because you're right, it's not just us, we carry generations with us. So I think that's really transformative and powerful. And also, I know that so many moms and people can relate to the fact of just like giving so much of yourself to everyone, and not having any space for you, and like really coming to reconcile with that emptiness, and like what that leaves you feeling with, and just wanting more. And so one thing that we know and that you've shared is that energy is a central part of your work, but not many people may fully understand what that means. So can you also break down and explain what core energy is and how it impacts the way we navigate relationships, leadership, and everyday life?
Yeah, that's a great question. I definitely did not know what that meant even, before. And so really what energy means is that, so we are spiritual beings that are having the human experience, right? So if you look at it from that lens alone, this is why I blend the faith piece is a huge one for me. And then there's the practical piece as well. And then there's the more, what I call like the energetics, So energetics is basically that, you as the spiritual being, you're walking around everywhere. Everywhere you go is you, right? You are the common denominator. So what I have discovered in my journey is that I was attaching a lot of my sense of who I am to, let's just say you have these threads, and each thread is like, oh, I'm attaching my sense of worth to my career, and then relationship, and then to whether or not I'm married or not, whether or not I have kids or not, whether or not how much money I have in my bank account. You know, there's all these threads that through our conditioning we have been told that, oh, this is who we are, this is who I am. So when you ask somebody, oh, who are you, they'll start listing all these things, you know, all these titles and status and things like that. And what I've come to learn around energy is that I started to, what I call, you know, and I also work with my clients to energetically cut the cords on these things that you are attaching your sense of worth and value as a being. So if you cut the cord of the, oh no, my title, right? Like, so then if you cut the cord of the title from you, now all of a sudden, like you can actually visualize this, and it's now a stone is gone. So now automatically I'm lighter. Yeah. Automatically I am not attaching who I am to my title. So wherever I go, I'm not thinking about that. So energetically inside of me, there is I'm not walking around thinking, oh, because of my title, now they're gonna do XYZ. Because of my title, I'm not good enough. And all of that to me carries an energetic frequency. And you know, there are many people who can explain energetics in many different ways. This is my way of explaining it, because I want to bring it down to a more practical sense. So the work that I did on myself was literally cutting all these cords. And to me, the more I cut the cords of these attachments that I have towards me, I'm able to separate who I am truly outside of all the things outside of me, and then also observe that, oh, these are all my achievements, but this is not who I am. Energy to me is about, you know, when you walk into a room, you know, people say you have good energy. Walk into a room, are you walking so that people can notice you, or are you walking into the room already knowing who you are, already knowing that your presence is required in this exact room simply because you are, not because of what you have or what you've accomplished, but simply because of what you are. And you are as an energetic being. And so to me, I do a lot of work with energy because, you know, words carry frequency. So how you speak, your body carries a frequency. Your how you move carries a frequency, and so it has to come from a holistic view of the wholeness of who you are. To me, that's what energy is, like the wholeness of who you are, and knowing that you are connected to the divine, you are connected to this big universe, and we are perfect puzzle pieces, you know. Everybody required. To me, that's what energy means. And I know that there are more scientific answers to this question, but this is my personal view on how I view energy coaching. Energy coaching is like, if you come to me and say that you have a situation, a problem, I'm not going to ask you details about, oh, let's talk about the story and, you know, tell me what they said and this and that. It's not about that. It's about, okay, what story are you making it mean about yourself? Because what's the energy that you're carrying from this situation inside of you? Are you holding judgment? Are you holding shame? Are you holding anger? None of those are wrong, but let's dig into the energy that you are carrying because of a situation. So we're not coaching the situation, we're coaching the energy that you are carrying about the situation.
Yes.
And releasing that and flowing with that, and you know, that to me is what energy coaching is.
Wow, wow, that is such a beautiful description. And one thing that you kind of touched on is just this sense of overperforming, proving, people pleasing, perfectionism. That's so many, so many. I know so many women, so many moms, so many people can relate to that, right? And so I'm curious, what inspired you to focus on those patterns and why do you think they resonate with so many women?
Mm, yes. So, as a woman, honestly, we do carry so much. And I
Mm-hmm.
believe mothers are on a next level where, we carry so much on ourselves
Mm-hmm.
because we have been conditioned. And I talk a lot about conditioning.
Mm-hmm.
And what does that mean? Conditioning means that, how you grew up in your childhood is very good data for you to look at.
Mm-hmm.
How you grew up in your society, wherever you grew up. So I did not grow up in North America. I grew up in the Middle East. And
Mm-hmm.
so that culture is very different. And, we would get beaten in our childhood, and it's normal. It's part of the culture. It's not abusive. It's for discipline and
Mm-hmm.
manners and all of that, and you talk to so many people, and they're like, yeah, that was my childhood too. And so it also depends on all of that, right? So the society in where I grew up, the society culture was a lot around achievement,
Mm-hmm.
especially as kids. You got to get good grades, because if you don't get good grades, then you're going to be a quote unquote failure, or
Yeah.
you're not going to be something. And so it
Mm-hmm.
starts from our childhood. And then all we're doing is just adding brick upon brick upon brick. So now we're getting into adulthood. And then we don't even realize, because we're not conscious, we're not realizing how much of other people's stuff we are taking as our own,
Mm-hmm.
thinking that, oh, I need to help, I need to be the savior, I need
Mm-hmm.
to, because if I do this for them, then I'm a good person. If I do this for them, then I'm a good, if I do this for my children, I'm a good mother. I want to
Mm-hmm.
be a good mother. I
Mm-hmm.
want to be a good employee.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about this need for us to feel like we are worth
Yeah.
something,
Yeah.
and to feel like we have this value, to feel like we can be the savior, we can be the
Mm-hmm.
martyr, we can be the hero, we can
Mm-hmm.
be the strong one, the independent one. And what that does is, then it just is like, okay, well, I'm just doing all of this for everyone else, but
Yeah.
then at my expense. And I used to do this all the time. I remember I used to say yes to two parties,
Mm.
and I would attend both,
Wow.
because I did not want to make my friends, like, I wanted to be that friend that is easygoing, and she's a good friend, she's loyal.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I would do that, and then I realized the more and more I was doing that, then the more I got burned out, the more
Mm.
heavy I felt. And a lot of it came down, and I was obviously doing this in multiple areas of my life, and then it all came down to, for me, the lesson was, and we all have different lessons, but for me, the lesson was deeply self-worth.
Mm.
I would, when I talked about those threads that were hanging out of me, all of my threads were, oh, if I do this for them, they'll like me more. If I do
Mm-hmm.
this, he will want to be with me. If I do
Mm-hmm.
this, I'll be a good employee. If I do this, then maybe I'll get the promotion. If I do this, my niece will love me more. If I do this,
Mm.
my nephew, will think I'm the cool aunt. And like, it's all these things that we're doing because we want something in return
Yeah.
from another person,
Mm.
and we don't even realize sometimes how much we are doing to get the validation, to get the, I want to belong, I want to be chosen,
Mm-hmm.
I want to, this is all what I hear also my clients saying, I just want to be chosen.
Mm.
I just want to be loved, I just want to feel like I'm worth something.
Mm.
And I resonate with all of that, because that was me
Yeah.
for decades.
Mm-hmm.
But when you start to cut these energetic cords, and you got to really ask yourself, what happens if, what happens then if you don't get it? Then what? Then you're going to feel the complete opposite of that, which is extremely dangerous.
Yeah.
And that's the journey that God was teaching me, because in my work I used to get all these good performances, and then when I started doing the inner work, my boss gave me a poor performance review. That was my first poor performance review in my 18-year career.
Wow.
And you know what? It did not even touch me, because I energetically already cut the cord that a performance review from this one person outside of me, why should I let that dictate, uh, what I already know I am?
Yeah.
I know what I do at work. I know. So I had to separate what I do versus what someone else thinks of me. Even with our children, this is hard. This is hard. Okay. I understand that this is hard, because with children, like, we have such a strong connection and a bond. But the hard part of the work is, no, like, what I do for my children, I want to do from my cup being overflown. And of course, there are different times in the motherhood journey that at the beginning you will have to, expend yourself and pour from your cup, and that'll be exhausting. And also at the same time, you got to do those hard things of learning how to ask for support. One of the biggest things that women, you asked about, why do women feel like this overperforming and all that, is because we don't even know how to ask for support. Because again, we've been conditioned to be like, well, if you ask for support, then that must mean that you're not strong enough to handle it all by yourself. That is such a false narrative that we need to really just, we need to let go of. And it took me so long to ask for support. And to this day, sometimes it is hard for me to ask my friends, like, hey, can you come and help me with this? Because, I live alone by myself, and I feel like, oh, I got to do everything by myself.
Yeah.
And so even something so quote small like that, it can be, if your conditioning is so deep, these small acts are actually acts of bravery and courage. And so, to answer your question, it all comes from our conditioning, and it all comes from how we were raised and society. And at some point, you have to ask yourself the question, what do I want to carry forward, and what do I want to release?
Wow, that's a really, really powerful question. And I know that, especially the piece where you're talking about how we have been conditioned to look for approval and validation from everyone outside of ourselves. One term that you refer to often is the term of self-leadership. So can you talk about what that means to people who are hearing that for the first time, and how does that play a part into the true transformation?
Yeah. Somebody said to me once, when they heard the term self leadership, they're like, oh, self and then leadership. It sounds a little, like self absorbing and selfish, kind of, And I thought that was a very interesting observation. No judgments on anybody's observations, right? Because it is important to dissect this word. So, leadership in our traditional sense, if you ask anybody, oh, what does leadership mean? They're gonna tell you, oh yeah, somebody who has this position in their title, like a CEO, or like a boss, or with authority, somebody with specific titles, specific status. That again comes from how we define leadership and how we've been taught to define leadership. And because I was in corporate, I was noticing that, I was not in a managerial position in any of my roles. And I noticed this, we are all aware of hierarchy and how that plays a role. And you notice that it's not just happening in corporate, it's happening in all areas of our life. So we have celebrity culture, so we put celebrities on pedestals, we put government officials on pedestals, we put people at our work on pedestals. And so what you're constantly doing is you're seeing someone yet again outside of you to be in a leadership position but not you. And you're trying to climb the ladder, or you're trying to do these things. Let me just be more confident. Let learn how to place boundaries, and then all of a sudden I will become a leader. And you're striving, trying to be something else. And so the word self is at the front of leadership, because self is clearly about you and the self. And so you don't need, yet again, it's those chords. I don't need the title to embody leadership. I don't need the status to be the leader in my life. I don't need a relationship or not, kids or not, marriage or not, in order to be the leader in my life. Self leadership is about, okay, this is my life. What do I want to create out of it, regardless of anything external? Okay. And what do I really need to build within me, which is the self part? And when you start to focus on the inward of yourself, because everything you have is inside of you, and you start to build the self, you automatically are embodying the leadership piece. This is not about, ooh, look at me, I'm a leader. This is not about that. It's about, oh, my boss just gave me a poor performance review. Okay, now how do I want to handle this? And I exercised my own leadership in that scenario. I did not have the titles or anything. So in a traditional sense, there's a line being drawn. He is the authority and I'm not. I have full authority in myself, because I am the leader of my life. So I did what I had to do in that moment. And because I embodied the leadership, I ended up also getting another job at the company without even looking for it. This is how the universe works. And this is what self-leadership to me is about, is that, you don't need anybody to tell you what to do. You have all the answers. We can definitely, and I still to this day have people in my corner. I have coaches and I have mentors. I say coaches, multiple, not one person. I don't rely on one person. I have multiples. I put myself in rooms so that I can learn new perspectives from people, and then I get to pick and choose. Oh, I like this from her. I like this from him. I'm gonna take that idea and I'm gonna create my own. I'm gonna copy them, which I've also done before, and that takes you down a path that is not even yours. We're constantly trying to. So to me, self is about what I want to create, because we're not brought to this earth to do what and follow someone else. We are absolutely not. You can be inspired by someone else. You can be inspired by someone else. Absolutely. I'm inspired by so many people in my life. But then I have to decide, okay, now I'm inspired by them. Now, what do I want to do for my life? What do I want to create? What is the path that I want and I desire and I want to create? Not because the society tells me, not because somebody else tells me, not because some millionaire is out there and they're doing that and I want that, so let me just follow what they're doing. Rarely works if you're just following what they're doing. You have, because we are all come with our own uniqueness and our own makeup, so that is why we have to create our own path. And then that's the whole beauty of the human experience, is that you get to, we
Yeah.
get.
Yes, yes, yes. That wow, that's really powerful, just highlighting the fact that no one's paths are the same and no one's paths are meant to be the same. We're all on different journeys and we can learn from each other and take from each other what we may, but it doesn't have to define us or to weigh us down. That's really, really powerful. And I want to ask for every woman and mother who's listening today, if you could give them one truth to embrace about herself, what would that be?
I would say that, there is absolutely nothing missing from you. Whatever it is that you feel is either not good enough, not lovable enough, not smart enough, not independent enough, not motherly enough, not whatever, fill in the blank enough.
Mm-hmm.
None of that is true. None of that is, like, inherently, none of that is true. And that you are a whole being, whole, like WHOLE, wholeness. The wholeness of who you are is your superpower, is your gift, is what makes you you. And the work that we do is to ignite those dormant parts inside of you that are buried inside. They're there. They're there and they're dormant.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't have to learn something new. They're there and they're dormant. And so we're just going to ignite it. So know that nothing is missing from you. That would be the absolute truth.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. I told you this was going to be truly a gift, guys. Vanessa, you are such a gift in the way that you share your own journey, your own story that led you here, and the way that you have built something that is has such a transformative impact on the women that you touch, including myself, is just such a beauty to be able to witness. And so I am just so grateful that you came on today. And I would love for you to just share with everyone. Please tell them where they can connect with you, tell them where they can learn more about you. And also, if you have anything exciting coming up that you'd like to promote, please share it with us also as well.
Yes. Well, first, before I get into that, I just want to say, thank you for having this platform. I very strongly believe that the more we have conversations like this, the more people feel like, that's, I have a similar story, or I feel the same. And there is absolutely no shame in any of it. So I love this platform. Thank you so much for inviting me and, being able to share my story here with other women, because that is the goal. The goal is the mission. The mission is that the more I be myself, it definitely, helps others to be themselves.
Yeah.
And that is, to me, that is the goal of all of it. And so I love that I get to do that here. So I do have a few exciting things coming up. One, I will be starting in July, that I'm hosting this space. I'm calling it like a free live space where we get on Zoom, super informal, but it's going to be around conversations like this. Conversations that basically you don't get to talk about at your work with your boss. We all know that there's so many things we're dealing with. I had a gazillion things that I was dealing with in my life, and I could definitely not take that to my boss because I'm always afraid that, I would be looked at a certain way, or next thing you know, I would be fired. Like, those are the kinds of things that we hold on to. And so that's a space where I want people to come in, but we're not just going to come in and talk about it. We're going to actually shift it in real time. And so you come to the space, you bring your question, bring the thing that you're really struggling with, or that you want to shift inside of you. This is for people who are really wanting growth and expansion, not for people who are just wanting to listen and then not do anything about it. Because momentum and movement and embodiment. Embodiment is literally just practicing what you learn in real life, and the more you do that, it's just like going to the gym. You got to go to the gym, you got to do the exercises, and so that's what this space is about. And it's about your whole life, like not just work. It's about the things that come up at work, the things that come up in your relationships, the things that come up like grief. I am blessed to have witnessed my father's journey. And I say blessed because I've had a journey with grief, and I see it as a really beautiful one. And I know that may activate some people right now listening to it, because the way I talk about death is not in a is in a unique way. And so I encourage people to also talk more about that, grief. We don't make space for grief as well. So it's all the things. And then I also, so that's a free space, but then I also, if people want to really, come in and really get a sense of how does this work, I want to shift and I'm ready, then I have these packages. I have a 2 hour sort of full on, we work privately together. I have a 1 month package, and then I have a 3 month package. And so it really depends on, what are you wanting to create for your life? And there are absolutely no limits. I promise you there are no limits. If you tell me, Vanessa, I wanna figure out how to become an astronaut and fly to the moon, I will be like, okay, let's get it done. And, let's figure out what needs to shift in your identity to make that happen. If you want to turn around your relationships, you want to turn around, everything starts with the self. Let's stop constantly trying to change our external environments, and let's make the shift and go inward. And that is what I offer. And so feel free to reach me on Instagram. I'm at Coach with V, V like. You can reach me on LinkedIn at Vanessa Pereira. So on Facebook at Vanessa Pereira. So just look me up. If you type in Vanessa Pereira, self leadership coach, you should be able to find me.
Awesome, awesome. Well, there you have it, everyone. Thank you so much again, Vanessa. Truly an honor to be connected with you, and I'm so grateful to you for coming on to just amplify your voice and your gift and your light. And thank you, everyone, for listening. We'll see you next time on The Heart Next Door.
Thank you.